This magical seed that originated in the East has nourished over half the planet. The growers of rice have also been richly rewarded for their collective efforts. It's simple and subtle, complements thousands of flavours, and appears in many beautiful forms. Rice has been with us for ages. Now, let us take another look at it and its close relatives. Picking the batch of spring tea in China's Jiangnan region. The wheat will soon be harvested. Then it will be time to transplant the rice. Before going home, Zhong Liang Mei looks for a certain seasonal young leaf. Southern candle leaves are often used as herbal medicine, but Liang Mei plans to use them to make a special food. The other ingredient is rice. The hulls are removed, leaving snow-white grains. Rice is likely the most efficient grain on the planet, and places where it is a staple food are often densely populated. Liang Mei is hosting family and friends, and everyone is reunited for a rice festival. Southern candle leaves ooze juice and smells much like herbs and mint. The rich anthocyanins they contain will soon transform the appearance of the rice. Natural plant pigments penetrate the cell wall, like night enveloping the village. At 4 a.m, Liang Mei's husband calmly heads to the ancestral shrine at the village entrance. The old wooden crown must be redecorated before dawn. Glutinous rice is considered the most precious of all grains. The black glutinous rice is returned to the pot. Rice softens at high temperatures. The pigment and starch blend deeply, absorbing most of the light, and the rice grains darken in colour. This is black rice. In the 4th month of the lunar calendar, black rice always makes an appearance in Jiangnan. In Nanjing, people pack dough twists in black rice for a simple yet energizing breakfast. Taizhou, on the coast of Zhejiang, takes a more delicate approach. Fresh meat and sausage set the tone. Products from the sea and mountains appear side by side, and black rice completes the ensemble. The various flavours seep into the rice, creating a tantalising meal of abundant harvest. In Chenguo village, today is the Black Rice Festival. For Zheng Liang Mei, this bowl of black rice has an even more special significance. When housewives here make black rice, the final colour not only reflects their craftsmanship, but also whether they will be favoured by luck. The crown bearer is decided by drawing lots among the young, strong men of the village. Bearing the crown, weighing over 50 kilograms, requires a dozen people working in tandem, who must carefully follow instructions. Liang Mei's greatest wish this year is for her son to start a family soon. The festivals of farming peoples all evolved from the fields. Water determines the yield of rice crops. Their ancestors prayed to the gods for rain and good weather. The climax of the parade is a water treading ceremony, where the villagers join forces. In the past, water treading was used to predict droughts and floods. Today, it has evolved into part of rural folklore. The new room on the 2nd floor is for Liang Mei's son. She left flowers to offer her best wishes. This sweet and moist black rice is hard to resist. The crispy rice stuck to the bottom of the pot offers another treat. With the holiday season over, the whole family has gathered and is about to begin the busy farming season. Black rice can also be found on the other side of the Eurasian continent. The Spanish use squid ink to dye rice. This is a very different flavour from what we just saw and shows rice's historical footprints.
要帮忙吗？这是垃圾，但是呢，这个不能在里边。
谢谢谢谢。Este fin de semana va a ser soleado y nos vemos. Sí, 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 sí. Pues este domingo nos vemos. Venga.
Emilio is from Spain. During his 3 years in China, 2 things have always been with him: his soccer jersey and this giant flat pot.
Paella, paella. Paella, pizza. Yeah, a big one, huh? Oh.
No one knows how Emilio brought this big pot to China, but soon he'll put on a delicious magic show with it. Shanghai has a long history of growing rice. To this day, it's the preferred staple food among locals. This all-encompassing metropolis is also a hub for food from around the world. Friends old and new gather over rice and can always discover new flavours in these familiar grains.
This is also a little bit broken here.
Oh, 有碎的是吧？这是磨的时候。
First, Emilio looks for the rice variety closest to that from his hometown. There are some other must-have ingredients.
You have tuzima. Tuzi. 这个吗？
没有。
不怎么有。有tuzi吗？Dusa. Yo, finally I find the tuzi. Finally. Let me check this. Huh? Wow, very fresh, huh? You see, Raquel. 很好。Thank you, Palawan. Thank you so much. Finally I find.
While he's never worked as a chef, the cooking he does in this big pot keeps bringing his Spanish friends back for more. It's 1 metre in diameter, and the heat from below is distributed in a large ring. First, rabbit, chicken and offal are added. As the earliest rice-producing region in Europe, Valencia's traditional large pot meal combines rice with various meats. Later, this cooking method spread to the Spanish coast, where locals replaced meat with seafood. And this was how paella spread to the world. Slow frying over low heat cooks the ingredients to perfection. Now it's time for the soul of the meal. Saffron originated in West Asia, where since ancient times it has been the top choice for seasoning and colouring food. Later, this spice joined forces with rice to complete the evolution of pilaf. Pilaf is a general term for dishes involving rice cooked with meat. It was created in West Asia, and along with the conquests and trade of the Arabs, it made its way east and influenced India, a land rich in rice. India took pilaf to a whole new level. Fluffy rice soaks in a plethora of spices, balanced perfectly by the light sweetness of yogurt. While of the same origin, there are endless styles of combining spices, meat and rice. Pilaf then headed west to the southernmost tip of Europe, where it found a new home in the frying pan. Rice was first introduced to Spain in the 8th century. The largest lake on the Iberian Peninsula is right in Emilio's hometown, and rice has taken root there. The rice is slow cooked in the juices of the meat, which gradually seeps into the rice for an irresistible new flavour. The past and present of rice are told in this single large pot. The outside is puffed and crispy, while the inside is still firm. This layering effect is what Southern Europeans aim to achieve. People can find a sense of commonality in food. When crops are strong and harvests are abundant, it's reflected in each and every one of our meals. South of the Tropic of Cancer, rice can ripen 3 times a year. The people here have their own special way of using it. Wei Chongya has a small shop where she sells a rather labour-intensive rice product. Her children are away at school, and her husband works in shipping, so she must take care of the shop herself. In this town, people's lives revolve around the bazaars held every 3 days, and making rice noodles must start 2 days in advance. Hot weather is unsuited for preserving food, but it's what drives food production here. Indica rice is resistant to both heat and drought, and is somewhat hard due to its high amylose content. But the people of Guangxi know how to make it nice and tender. In Guangxi, rice noodles can be found wherever people are. The region has many lakes and mountains, so each area has its own unique traits. There is an endlessly dizzying array of noodles, broths, toppings, and side dishes. It could be said that people here use rice noodles as a creative outlet. If there were a heaven of rice noodles, it might be something like Guangxi. The flour has started to ferment slightly. Wei Chun-ya fires the stove at 4 a.m. She must be fully prepared for today's business. On the cooking surface, the starch has gelatinized, making the indica rice flour sticky. It's made even stickier through repeated pounding, then diluted and stirred in water until it becomes smooth like cream. The sun is up and everything is ready. The bazaar is getting busy and the rice noodle shops are about to open. A local custom is to catch up with friends over a bowl of noodles at the bazaar. Of course, there are also people like Mr. Wei who bring their grandchildren to the bazaar for rice noodles. The diners bring their own toppings, among which pork and fresh offal are favourites. In this shared kitchen, each has their own recipe. Freshly squeezed rice noodles mean they're freshly pressed. After boiling for just 3 minutes, as soon as they float to the top, that's when the texture will be just right. Fresh rice noodles are slightly fermented, easy to digest, and can revitalise the stomach amid the summer heat. The silky smooth rice noodles and crystal clear broth give off a fine steam, which makes the meal even more satisfying.
tôi cần muốn cầm tôi càng cổ nó em im cho tới liu của mình thiếu
lơ就乐一点那乐也要是
In late July, seedlings are once again planted in the soft soil in the rice paddies. This grassy plant was discovered 10,000 years ago. After being selected, domesticated and improved, it became a food for humans. The little seedlings burst with incredible energy. Today, about half the world's population eats rice as a staple food. On the other side of the ocean, another member of the rice family had a very different fate. Brent is a community police officer. Every September, he takes time off to explore his Native American roots. The reason for this timing is a grain that grows on the lakes here. His grandmother is an Ojibwa elder who blessed Brent before he began his trip. Minnesota boasts numerous lakes, and Brent has been paddling a canoe since he was 11. Zizania palustris, wild rice, a distant relative of rice, grows in lakes and wetlands. It is the only grain for the Ojibwa, who are traditionally not a farming people.
All right, you ready?
Once ripe, the seeds fall easily, and harvesting requires much skill and experience. Kernels that do not fall into the canoe will grow in the upcoming year. Harvesting continues for 1 month. In China, this rice is used quite differently. Mr. Wu searches closely in the water. The stems have just sprouted a white strip, meaning that it's ripe and ready for harvest. The Alpine Basin in southwestern Zhejiang has a high diurnal temperature variation. This 2-metre-tall aquatic plant is the same species as the wild rice that the Ojibwe harvest. By chance, the plants were infected with black fungus. Instead of growing its spiky seeds, the stems puff up. The fleshy stem has become a vegetable commonly eaten today, water bamboo. After harvesting, it's taken straight to the kitchen, and the fibrous outer hull is removed, leaving only the tender core. Then it's carefully carved and covered with ice to keep it crisp, tender and sweet. It's simply marinated, with no cooking required. Marinating for a week makes the water bamboo less sour and more tender. When mixed with crab leg meat, the two are almost indistinguishable. The addition of red sour soup creates an unrivaled taste. The shape of water bamboo stalks suggests its roots as a rice grain. In BCE times, the Chinese grew and ate the grains of this plant. By the 10th to 14th century CE, people mostly ate the stalks instead. Today, many people are familiar with the stalk, yet unaware it was first eaten as a grain. This made it much easier to harvest and cook. Boiled water bamboo is soft on the outside and slightly chewy on the inside. A simple meal concludes the bountiful harvest. On the other side of the planet, harvest season is still underway. Freshly harvested wild rice contains twice the moisture of ordinary rice and must be treated right away.
There, snapped. I think it's done.
Yep.
This special method of harvesting and processing has been passed down from generation to generation among the Ojibwa. They regard rice as the seed of life. The French also discovered the great taste of rice when they came to the New World in the 17th century. They brought this wild rice back to Europe as an exotic food. In Lyon, known as the capital of gastronomy, pureed potatoes and foie gras are mixed with wild rice and stuffed into a quail. Then fresh herbs are wrapped in pork skin and grilled. This locks in moisture while adding flavour. It's a very fatty combination, which is offset by the sweetness of berry jams. Quail and wild rice is a local dish from Lyon with a long history. Back in the elder's kitchen, fresh wild rice has the fragrance of aquatic plants and was often mixed with butter or duck and venison. The slender kernels can simply be deep fried to obtain fluffy, crispy rice. Garnished with juicy blueberries and amber maple syrup, it's crunchy and sweet, with a layered texture. The Ojibwa believe any water that can produce food is an ideal place to dwell. The elder thanks the lake and the land for their blessings. At this time next year, the wild rice will faithfully await them once again. Jianshinan, Guizhou, China, tells a different version of the rice story. Yang Minlun repairs his tools while waiting for the weather to clear, and his wife makes necklaces with pearl-shaped grains of rice. This is Chinese pearl barley, or yi yi. When the round fruit reaches its full energy capacity, the outer shell turns yellow and hardens, showing that it's fully ripe. In limestone mountain regions where rice is difficult to grow, pearl barley has become the main crop due to its strong adaptability. The local Yi people call it Yi Mi. Yang Minlun and his wife set up the net to collect any grains that fly away. The hard shell protects the seed to help the plant reproduce. It takes much effort to withdraw the nutrients stored in the seeds. Only after the shell is struck hard many times do the well-protected rice kernels show themselves. Right after the Yi Mi harvest is the new year of the Yi people. The girls dress up and don Yi Mi necklaces. Foods made with Yi Mi have a similar taste and texture to regular rice, but also come in non-glutinous and glutinous varieties. The former is quite coarse and is mostly used as a medicine, while the latter is finely processed. These fried shiso seeds give off a slightly spicy and oily aroma and are the main filling for tangba. People all over China have customs of making glutinous rice balls during holidays. The rice shell is stuffed with a variety of sweet and savoury fillings. The Yi people's Yi Mi tangba and glutinous rice balls from rice-producing areas are remarkably similar. In Yang Minlun's hometown, Yi Mi is much more common than rice. However, in the middle and lower reaches of the Yangtze River, where rice is prominent, rice products are made very meticulously. All year round, the people of Suzhou are surrounded by rice, lard and sugar, and glutinous rice is a staple. Suzhou pastries come in endless varieties, and the secret lies in their chef's powder inlay techniques. Here, inlay means changing the proportions of glutinous and non-glutinous rice flour which gives the pastries many different textures. Two to 8 parts glutinous to non-glutinous rice flour is best for making sticky pastries. While 6 to 4 flour yields fluffier dough, ideal for making sponge cakes. The dyed rice flour is held together and run through a sieve with pores finer than 0.6 millimeters. First, pine nuts are added, followed by bean paste and lard, and then excess flour is simply shaken off to complete the package. The cakes are light and delicate, like a refreshing spring breeze. The higher glutinous rice flour content gives them a very different texture. They're boiled until sticky, then lard is added, and they're cooked at high heat. The lard is continuously pressed into the balls, and as the temperature drops, they become less sticky and more elastic. Sweets made from rice express sentiments about the 4 seasons and are a tradition shared by virtually all rice-growing peoples.
煨蝴蝶的眼。
Much like the use of chopsticks across East Asia, fascination with stickiness is also another commonality. Despite differences in technique and form, shaping rice cake balls to make them aesthetically pleasing is a common trait of rice-growing people. Human interaction with grains is often calm and collected. Many natural fungi, invisible to the naked eye, lead this interaction. Lin Fang Peng has his own laboratory. Rice congee is an incredible substance. When a little soil is added, after a few days, a variety of fungi will appear. When some rice grains turn red, this means that red yeast is proliferating. Fang Peng is a cook by trade, but compared to his busy job, he prefers this little world of his. In the span of a week, the fungi have rapidly multiplied, so it's time to add more rice. This area is a river basin valley surrounded by mountains, making it warm and humid year-round. Microorganisms bind with and penetrate the rice grains, and as a result, red yeast rice is born. Red yeast and regular yeast grow together on the rice grains and can be used to make wine by sealing them in a vat with glutinous rice. Three months later, the bright red liquid now has an intoxicating aroma. The Chinese were the first to master the art of making wine from rice. Although the process is similar, rice wine varies greatly from place to place due to differences in soil, grains, and microorganisms. Red yeast rice that has been pressed becomes red dregs and is not wasted. When used in Fujian cuisine, red dregs add a distinctive local flavour. Amphibious crabs are simply seasoned and crushed with unprocessed red dregs. This somewhat odd ingredient instantly adds a vibrant colour and taste to plain congee. Red dregs are added to the fatty middle part of moray eel, penetrating it with the aroma of spirits. Then it's rolled in flour and deep fried, firmly binding the two to reduce oiliness. Each bite overflows with flavour. Raw red dregs are chopped and stir-fried in a thin layer of oil, which can be used in many other seasonings. Leftover dregs were originally kept to avoid wasting food, and then to add auspicious colour. Eventually, it became an irreplaceable flavour for the people of Fujian. The rice is no longer visible, but with enough patience, red yeast rice wine can also be aged to a different effect. Aged vinegar is the result of continuous fermentation. Wild mountain rice is added to freshly pressed rice wine. Then after 3 years, the wine finally becomes vinegar. In this sense, vinegar is the next stage of spirits. The two both originate from rice. In villages with a strong sense of kinship, time seems to pass very slowly. So people are willing to wait to make things the old-fashioned way. Rice, cliff tea and lard are spread on the bottom of the pot, with no water, followed by rabbit meat. With his daughter back from town, it's time to show off his cooking skills. Lin Feng Peng is making rabbit rice stew. This dish has the utmost regard here, and the most important ingredient is vinegar. It's complemented with ginger and sugar and topped with home-brewed vinegar, bringing the sweet and sour taste to life. Like many Chinese fathers, the reserved Lin Feng Peng only shows his soft side when sharing time with family. Vinegar is the ultimate product of this transformation, but it does not end there. It invigorates the red yeast rice once again, and all begins anew. Lin Feng Peng is cultivating a new mother culture. Whether it's passing down family techniques or collaboration between cereals and nature, a single grain of rice shows us how our tastes have transformed over time.
Esta es la auténtica paella valenciana. Chequemos.
Countless varieties of rice are grown to suit the diverse human palate. We domesticated rice, and it has also shaped us. Rice has been with us through the ages, watching over us, much like the stars in the night sky.